feeling unmotivated, stuck, or always waiting for the right time to begin, that hesitation is costing you everything. The truth is, successful people aren't always the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who force themselves to act when it's hard. Imagine living with unshakable discipline, no more excuses, no more waiting, just a relentless commitment to your goals. In this video, I'll show you how to train your mind to move with power, even when you don't feel like it, so you build real momentum, real results, and real success. Because once you stop negotiating with yourself, everything begins to change. 1. Success is a decision, not a gift. Most people are raised believing that success is something you wait for, that it arrives after inspiration hits, when circumstances align, or when luck finally shows up. This belief is not just misleading, it's dangerous. It trains people to be passive, to hope instead of act, to wish instead of work. But here's the truth that separates those who merely survive from those who thrive. Success doesn't come to those who feel ready, it comes to those who decide they're done waiting. In the real world, successful people aren't the ones who had perfect timing or endless motivation. They're the ones who made a decision, a clear, conscious decision that success was not optional, it was a requirement, and from that point forward, they took action whether they felt like it or not. They stopped depending on emotion and built their lives around execution. Science supports this idea. Research in behavioral psychology, particularly in the field of neuroplasticity, has shown that habits are formed not by bursts of inspiration but through repeated actions over time. It takes roughly 66 days on average to form a new habit. During that period, you're not coasting on motivation, you're pushing through resistance. And those who succeed are the ones who push anyway. They force the habit until it becomes part of who they are. The world rewards doers, not dreamers. The most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and creators often began without perfect conditions. Elon Musk didn't wait for permission to build SpaceX. Oprah Winfrey didn't wait for the perfect role to become a media icon. They made a decision and followed it with relentless action. The mindset shift was the catalyst. The decision was the ignition. Everything else was built on that foundation. This paragraph also cuts through the illusion of readiness. The idea that we must feel confident, capable, or emotionally secure before we take action is false. Psychologists have a name for this cycle. It's called the intention-action gap. You want to act, but you wait for the right internal state. But here's the twist. Taking action often creates the motivation you were waiting for. Action breeds confidence. Progress fuels commitment. It's a feedback loop, but it only begins once you start. Moreover, neuroscience tells us that the brain doesn't differentiate much between real and imagined success. If you decide firmly on a path and visualize it with clarity and detail, the brain starts to build new neural pathways aligned with that belief. This is why mindset is so powerful. A strong decision triggers mental and emotional alignment. The moment you decide success is non-negotiable, your brain starts filtering information, energy, and focus to support that reality. But here's what people miss. Decisions without action are empty. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is the ability to stick to your decision long after the mood to do so has faded. It's waking up early when it's cold. It's putting in the reps when you're tired. It's reading when you'd rather scroll. And it's choosing discomfort over ease every single day. Real success stories are often messy. They're filled with doubt, stress, setbacks, and late nights. But behind every story is a person who simply refused to quit. Not because they had superhuman motivation, but because they had made a decision. They decided they were going to win, not try, not hope, but win. And that mindset created a level of consistency that others couldn't match. We live in a culture addicted to inspiration, motivational videos, feel-good quotes, the next big productivity hack. But none of that matters if you don't execute. You can watch 100 videos about becoming great, but if you don't act, you stay the same. And that's the brutal truth. You either choose to take command of your life, or you surrender control to distractions, emotions, and excuses. The line, "you either control your life or life controls you," isn't just poetic, it's rooted in cognitive science. The concept of locus of control explains that people with an internal locus believe they have power over their outcomes. Those with an external locus believe life just happens to them. Studies show that individuals with a strong internal locus of control tend to be more successful, healthier, and resilient. Why? Because they take responsibility. They stop blaming and start building. And success. True success isn't an accident. It's not a reward handed out to the lucky or the privileged. It's a result. The result of a decision backed by discipline, consistency, and clarity. It's forged in quiet hours of work, in days when you don't feel like showing up, and in years of pushing through the noise. Ultimately, this paragraph is a challenge, a wake-up call. If you're waiting for the right time, stop. If you're waiting to feel inspired, stop. If you're waiting for someone to choose you, stop. Choose yourself. Decide that you will win. Decide that your goals are not optional. Decide that your excuses are done, because the moment you decide that success is a must, everything changes. Success is not given, it's not found, it's not stumbled upon, it is forced by those who refuse to be ordinary. And the moment you truly decide, your life begins to transform. Not overnight, not easily, but inevitably. Decide, act, persist. That's how you take control. That's how you rise. And that's how you win. 2. Stop hoping, start forcing. Hope, while often portrayed as noble and necessary, can become a trap if it's not paired with consistent action. The paragraph makes a bold but accurate claim: hope alone changes nothing, and in the context of achieving goals or building success, excessive reliance on hope can quietly sabotage progress. It lulls people into passivity, into waiting for the right circumstances or the right mindset, and while they wait, life moves on. That's why this message is so critical. If you want to change your life, you don't hope it happens, you force it to. Let's clarify this idea with research-backed context. A study by psychologist Charles Snyder, who pioneered the theory of hope in psychology, found that hope, when properly understood, involves more than wishful thinking. It includes both the desire to achieve goals and the pathways or strategies to achieve them. In other words, hope must be paired with action plans. But in popular culture, people often cling to hope as an emotional crutch. They believe that by wanting something badly enough, it will somehow happen. But neuroscience and behavioral science both disagree. Neuroscience reveals that the brain is action-oriented. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter often linked to motivation, is released not just when we receive rewards, but when we anticipate them through action. When you begin to act toward a goal, even in small ways, your brain chemically supports your effort. But if you sit idle and hope, the dopamine response weakens. This is why discipline, not emotion, becomes the driver of real change. The brain rewards progress, not potential. That's why the line "you build the habits" is so critical. According to researchers like James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, success is not determined by big dramatic events, it's the outcome of small, repeated behaviors. Habits compound. One healthy meal doesn't change your body, but 300 will. One workout doesn't create strength, but years of consistent effort will. And you don't build habits by waiting to feel good. You build them by showing up when it's hard. This is where the concept of forcing comes in. Force doesn't mean brutality. It means deliberate pressure. Pressure applied with consistency. It's what separates successful people from those who plateau. When you don't feel like working but do it anyway, that's force. When you face failure and go back to the drawing board, that's force. When you train when you're tired, study when you're bored, practice when no one's watching, that's what this paragraph is pointing to. It's also important to dismantle the myth that success is about talent. Yes, talent gives you a head start, but that advantage fades without discipline. A meta-analysis published in Psychological Science, McNamara et al. 2014, found that deliberate practice accounts for a significant portion of performance differences across all domains: sports, music, academics. In simpler terms, the people at the top aren't just the most gifted. They're the ones who work the hardest, longest, and smartest. They force themselves to improve. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school varsity team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. None of them waited for permission. None of them relied on feeling inspired every day. They acted, adjusted, and persisted over and over again until success was inevitable. This mindset, forcing yourself to keep going, isn't natural. The brain is wired for safety, for ease. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and long-term planning, constantly competes with the limbic system, which seeks short-term pleasure and comfort. That's why people procrastinate, why they avoid the gym, why they scroll instead of create. But here's the power of discipline. Every time you override the comfort impulse, you rewire your brain. Through neuroplasticity, the brain adapts, and over time, what once felt difficult becomes automatic. That's how discipline becomes identity. The paragraph ends with perhaps the most important insight. Discipline is forcing yourself to do what must be done, long after the mood is gone. This isn't just a motivational quote, it's supported by the work of Angela Duckworth, whose research on grit, a combination of passion and perseverance, found that consistent effort over time is a stronger predictor of success than IQ, talent, or socioeconomic status. People who succeed keep showing up even when they don't feel like it. They've learned to separate emotions from execution. This also ties into the concept of emotional regulation. In high-performance psychology, athletes, entrepreneurs, and creatives are trained to operate based on principle, not feeling. When you make decisions based on values and purpose, not emotions, you remain consistent. This consistency builds momentum, and that momentum creates results. The truth is, forcing yourself to act, especially when you don't feel like it, is a form of power. You take your mind off autopilot, you stop being a slave to distraction and emotion, you become intentional, and that intention is what moves the needle. When you look at anyone who's achieved something great, you're not seeing the hopeful version of them, you're seeing the disciplined version, the one who pushed through sickness, through doubt, through fatigue, the one who didn't wait for motivation but built momentum through action. And when you do that enough, you cross a line, a threshold where effort becomes identity, where excellence becomes your default mode, not because it's easy, but because you've forced yourself there. So if you're stuck, if you're waiting, if you keep telling yourself that someday you'll start, this paragraph is your reality check. Stop hoping. Hope without action is delusion. Potential without execution is wasted. You don't need more inspiration. You need movement. You need strategy. You need discipline. You need force. Because the person who forces themselves to rise even when it hurts is the one who eventually leaves everyone else behind. And if you want to change your life, the formula is clear: less wishing, more working; less hoping, more habits; less waiting, more forcing. That's where the transformation begins. 3. Pain is the price of power. At the core of this message is a fundamental principle of human development. Growth comes from stress. Just like a muscle must be torn down through resistance to grow stronger, the human mind, character, and capability also expand through challenge. In biology, this is known as hormesis, a process where exposure to stress in small, controlled doses actually leads to strength and resilience. You lift heavy weights, your body adapts. You push through hard days, your mindset strengthens. Pain is not something to be avoided. It's the exact force that sculpts who you become. Research in psychology supports this fully. The concept of post-traumatic growth, developed by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, shows that individuals often experience significant personal growth after enduring adversity, not despite the hardship, but because of it. Struggles force us to reframe our identity, clarify our priorities, and cultivate inner strength. In fact, many successful people don't just tolerate pain, they learn to leverage it. The paragraph lists examples that are universal among high achievers: the long nights, early mornings, rejection, and self-doubt. These aren't exceptions, they're the norm. When you study the routines and histories of elite performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, you'll always find moments of pain, not glamorous pain, not Hollywood-style drama, but quiet suffering, sacrifices that few people see or understand. Kobe Bryant practicing for hours before sunrise, Elon Musk sleeping on the Tesla factory floor, J.K. Rowling writing Harry Potter while battling poverty and depression. These weren't side effects, they were the process. The second part of the paragraph focuses on how successful people approach pain. They walk straight into it. That mindset is key. Most people are wired to avoid discomfort. The human brain is evolutionarily designed to seek safety and pleasure and avoid pain. The amygdala, responsible for threat detection, is constantly scanning for discomfort and trying to steer you away from it. But in the modern world, that ancient survival mechanism can work against us. It makes us avoid the very challenges that would help us grow. Winners override that impulse. They don't wait for the feeling of readiness or ease. They force themselves forward, especially when every part of them says stop. In performance psychology, this is called mental override, the capacity to push past emotional resistance through willpower and trained discipline. Navy SEALs, elite athletes, and high-performance individuals all train for this deliberately. They don't hope they'll be strong when it counts. They build that response day by day, rep by rep. The key phrase in this section is, when their body says no, when their mind wants to quit. when every fiber screams stop. This is the exact point where most people fail, because they interpret that resistance as a sign to back off. But in truth, that's where transformation begins. It's the threshold, the moment that separates those who want success from those who are committed to it. Crossing that line repeatedly rewires your identity. Every time you push when it's hard, you reinforce the belief, I'm the type of person who finishes, I don't quit. And the research backs this up. Angela Duckworth's groundbreaking work on grit defines it as the combination of passion and sustained persistence over time. Her studies show that gritty individuals consistently outperform those who rely on talent alone. Why? Because they're willing to endure pain. They see setbacks as temporary. They stay in the fight longer. Pain for them isn't the end, it's part of the journey. Then we arrive at the line, pain refines the committed and destroys the weak. That's not just poetic, it's factual. Pain is a filter. It exposes who's serious and who's pretending. The committed feel pain, but they don't let it dictate their actions. The weak, those who never develop the ability to suffer with purpose, crumble under it. And it's not about toughness in the macho sense, it's about resilience. The ability to endure discomfort with direction, to keep going when there's no reward in sight, to act when every part of you wants to retreat. This leads to an important truth. Pain doesn't just test your limits, it reveals your potential. Most people never find out what they're capable of because they tap out too soon. They interpret pain as punishment rather than progress. But when you change the meaning of pain, you change your relationship to it. If you see it as the price of power, as this paragraph frames it, you stop resenting it and start using it. And pain isn't just individual, it's also deeply tied to excellence. In the world of elite sports, business, and creative mastery, the top 1% are separated not by luck, but by tolerance for sustained discomfort. Research published in the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology shows that elite performers are more likely to use adaptive coping strategies like reframing stress, embracing adversity, and staying committed through long-term setbacks. These are skills, not traits, which means they can be learned, but only if you're willing to pay the price. In today's world where convenience is sold at every turn, fast food, quick wins, instant gratification, the willingness to endure pain becomes a superpower. It gives you an edge. Most people can't sit still for 10 minutes without distraction, let alone work for years on a goal that offers no guaranteed payoff. But if you can, if you force yourself through the painful parts, you automatically rise above the majority. The beauty of this idea is its simplicity. There's no magic, no secret formula, just this. Decide what you want and be willing to hurt for it. Not just once, not just when it's exciting, but every day, in small and sometimes brutal ways. And if you can embrace that, then pain becomes not something you fear, but something that fuels you. Because pain, when faced with intention, transforms, it sharpens, it reveals, and eventually it empowers. But only for those who choose to walk through it, not around it. That's the cost of success. Are you willing to pay? 4. The myth of motivation about a woman who doesn't. Motivation is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the modern conversation about success. It's glamorized, commercialized, and packaged as the secret fuel that drives winners. But that's a lie. This paragraph dismantles that myth by stating something most people don't want to hear. Motivation is fleeting. It's a feeling, and like any feeling, it comes and goes. If your entire plan to achieve success is built on waiting for the moment when you feel inspired, you're going to lose. Because the truth is, winners don't depend on how they feel, they depend on what they do consistently, regardless of emotion. Psychological research backs this up. A 2018 study published in Psychological Bulletin reviewed over 100 studies on motivation and performance. The conclusion was clear: motivation does not reliably lead to long-term achievement. In fact, action often precedes motivation, not the other way around. This is a cognitive behavioral concept known as the behavioral activation model. The idea is simple: the more you act, the more motivated you become. Not because you feel like it, but because the brain rewards movement with momentum. This paragraph drives that point, with the metaphor of a spark and a fire. Motivation might be the initial spark. It can be that emotional lift you feel after a great speech, a powerful video, or an inspiring story. But sparks don't last. They ignite, then fade. What keeps the fire burning is structure, systems, habits, the invisible daily choices that don't look impressive but compound over time. That's where discipline enters the equation. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's about building consistency. It's creating a schedule and sticking to it, even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up to the gym when you're tired. It's sitting down to write when your brain is foggy. It's choosing to work when your friends are out partying. That's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Because every time you follow through without motivation, you reinforce your identity as someone who executes. This is exactly why the paragraph says successful people don't rely on emotions, they rely on systems. That's a critical distinction. Motivation is emotional, but systems are strategic. A system is a repeatable process. Wake up at 6 a.m., journal for 5 minutes, write for 2 hours, train at 4 p.m., eat the same healthy meals. Systems remove decision fatigue. You don't ask, do I feel like doing this today? You do it because it's part of the plan. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains this well. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That means goals are direction, but systems are execution. Winners build systems that function even when motivation is low. They design environments that make the right choice automatic. For example, they keep distractions off their phones, set fixed blocks of time for deep work, or prepare meals in advance to avoid impulsive eating. These aren't hacks, they're strategic habits. There's also neuroscience behind this. The brain loves patterns. When you do something repeatedly, you activate the basal ganglia, the brain region responsible for habit formation. Over time, this process reduces the cognitive load required to make decisions. That's why successful people can stick to boring routines for years. They've automated discipline. The result is mental energy reserved for higher-order thinking and creativity. They don't waste willpower deciding whether to work. The system decides for them. Another crucial part of the paragraph is the line, "Success isn't found in the highs of motivation, it's built in the boring, quiet hours when nobody is watching." That may be one of the most honest lines in personal development. The highlight reels of social media show the wins, the trophy, the business launch, the transformation photo. But none of that shows the 4 a.m. alarms, the rewrites, the failed launches, the skipped parties, the setbacks and corrections and late nights. That's the real work, and it's not fun, but it's necessary. A 10-year longitudinal study from Stanford University found that grit defined as passion and perseverance for long-term goals outperforms talent, intelligence, and even opportunity in predicting success. The gritty aren't always excited, they aren't fueled by hype, they're powered by a deep commitment to the process, and that's why the final line hits hard. Winners aren't always excited, but they always execute. That line should be written on every gym wall, every office, every studio where people are building something that matters. Because we live in a world that has trained people to chase feelings, to believe that if it doesn't feel right, it's not the right time. That mindset destroys potential. Winners reject that belief. They operate off principle, not passion, off commitment, not comfort. Even elite athletes, the people most glorified for their motivation, will tell you the truth. Most days they don't feel like training, but they train anyway because they've made a contract with themselves, not one based on feelings but on outcomes. When you do that, motivation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. So how do you build that level of execution? The key is to design your discipline. You don't wait to become motivated, you build systems that trigger action. Wake up at the same time every day. Use timers to lock in focused work. Remove temptations from your environment. Reward consistency, not intensity. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be relentless. And remember, this doesn't mean you'll never feel unmotivated. You will. Everyone does. The difference is how you respond. Do you stop or do you execute anyway? That's the separation point. That's what builds confidence and competence. When you act in spite of how you feel, you take control of your mind. You stop being a slave to emotion and become a master of your habits. In the end, motivation is a myth because it's not what creates greatness. It's discipline, it's structure, it's habits that don't care how you feel. If you want to win, don't chase motivation, build a system and show up for it, even on the days when it's boring, hard and thankless, because success isn't about being excited. It's about getting it done every single day. 5. Your environment is lying to you. Humans are deeply influenced by their environment. This isn't opinion, it's psychology. The theory of environmental conditioning tells us that behavior is shaped by cues, social norms, and environmental triggers. If you're surrounded by people who take shortcuts, avoid hard work, or prioritize comfort over growth, chances are you'll start adopting the same patterns consciously or unconsciously. In fact, research published in Science in 2012 showed that even our decisions about effort and self-control are heavily influenced by subtle environmental factors. This means your surroundings can either push you forward or pull you down without you even realizing it. The paragraph states, "Your surroundings will whisper lies. These lies are subtle, not aggressive. They come as rationalizations. Take the day off. You already did more than most. There's always tomorrow." These thoughts sound harmless, even self-compassionate, but they're not. They're excuses wrapped in comfort. They are the mental equivalent of junk food, satisfying in the moment, but toxic in the long run. The real trap is that your brain loves these lies. From an evolutionary standpoint, the brain is wired to conserve energy. The limbic system, especially the amygdala, is always looking for the path of least resistance. It treats discomfort like a threat. That's why your own thoughts will try to talk you out of growth. They'll urge you to stay warm, stay safe, stay still. But growth demands the opposite. It demands that you choose discomfort, that you voluntarily walk into difficulty. And this is exactly what the paragraph urges: to learn to say no, not just to friends or distractions, but to yourself, to your weaker voice, the one that wants easy. Saying no is hard. It's especially hard when it means disappointing people around you. Friends might not understand why you'd wake up at 5 a.m. to train. Family might question why you're working late nights instead of relaxing. But high achievement often looks like obsession to the average. And here's what science shows. Social conformity bias, our tendency to mirror the behaviors and beliefs of those around us, can derail our goals if we don't actively resist it. Saying no to your environment doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means choosing your influences wisely. It means curating your space, your circle, and your habits to serve your goals, not sabotage them. The second half of the paragraph breaks the illusion that success is convenient. In fact, it declares the opposite. Success is built in places that feel unnatural. This aligns with the concept of voluntary hardship, a term used in elite performance coaching. The most successful individuals deliberately place themselves in controlled discomfort to build resilience. David Goggins, former Navy SEAL and endurance athlete, famously trains in extreme conditions, not for the physical gain, but to sharpen the mental edge. He understands that pushing through unnatural environments builds a mindset that doesn't break when things get hard. Think about the most transformative moments in any achiever's life. They never happened on a couch. They happened during grueling workouts, in lonely studios, during failed launches, in the quiet hours when no one was watching. The paragraph's examples, 5 a.m. gym sessions, late-night reading, uncelebrated hours of work, are not metaphors. They are literal. These moments are the raw ingredients of greatness. They are where discipline is tested and forged. Psychological studies confirm that consistent action taken during low motivation periods strengthens identity. According to research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, our self-image is not just shaped by what we think, but by what we do consistently, especially in difficult circumstances. So when you wake up early to train, read when you're tired, or work when it's inconvenient, you're not just progressing toward a goal, you're telling your brain, "This is who I am." And that identity shift is where everything changes. The final line, "Force yourself to leave comfort behind because nothing grows there," isn't just a motivational phrase. It's a principle rooted in biology, psychology, and performance science. Growth happens at the edge of capability, not at the center of ease. In neuroplasticity, this is called the optimal stress zone, the idea that the brain forms new connections fastest when pushed slightly beyond its current limits, not overwhelmed, not relaxed, challenged. This is why real growth only occurs outside your comfort zone, because that's where adaptation is triggered. But stepping out of comfort is rarely automatic. It must be forced, not because it's unnatural to grow, but because it's unnatural to seek pain. That's why the word force is so critical in this paragraph. Left to emotion, you'll revert. Left to convenience, you'll settle. Force is the mechanism that carries you across the threshold again and again until discomfort becomes normal. And once it's normal, you're dangerous, because then you're willing to go where most won't. And let's be clear, comfort isn't just about lying on a couch or skipping workouts. It's deeper than that. Comfort is saying yes to easy validation, avoiding risk, hiding from challenge, and staying in circles that don't stretch you. It's a mindset of preservation rather than progression. And in the long term, it doesn't just halt growth, it reverses it. Comfort shrinks your capacity, it dulls your ambition, it weakens your edge. That's why the successful don't tolerate it. They replace it with routine, with structure, with strategic discomfort. In practical terms, this means you should intentionally design your environment to support discomfort. Put your alarm out of reach, pre-commit to your workouts, leave your phone in another room, surround yourself with driven people, set clear standards and enforce them, make the unnatural natural, because the more friction you remove from the hard things, the more automatic they become. And when discomfort becomes your baseline, growth becomes your lifestyle. In the end, this paragraph is a warning, it's a mirror. It's calling out the subtle lies your environment feeds you every day, and it's reminding you that if you keep listening to those lies, if you keep choosing what feels good, you'll never become who you could be, because success doesn't grow in safety, it grows in sacrifice. And if you want to become someone exceptional, you'll need to say no to what's easy, to what's familiar, and to what's comfortable, over and over again, until discomfort becomes your new home. 6. Your mind will resist, win anyway. That voice has a name in psychology, it's called inner resistance, a term popularized by Stephen Pressfield in The War of Art. Resistance is the invisible force that opposes any act that leads to growth, creativity, or discipline. It shows up when you sit down to work, when you wake up early, when you attempt to change a habit or start something new, and it's ruthless. It's not loud or dramatic, it's logical, persuasive, and patient. That's why it's so effective. It sounds like common sense. It sounds like self-care, but underneath it all, it's fear, it's avoidance, it's comfort wearing a disguise. The paragraph opens with a radical reframe. Your greatest enemy is not failure, it's hesitation. That's powerful because it contradicts what most people believe. We're trained to fear failure, but in reality, failure is feedback. It teaches, it sharpens, it's the result of action. Hesitation, on the other hand, kills momentum before it starts. And the longer you hesitate, the harder it is to move forward. Neuroscience supports this idea. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for decision-making, becomes increasingly overwhelmed with uncertainty the longer you delay action. That's why the best performers don't wait. They move. They trust process over perfection. They win the moment, not the debate. The second sentence of the paragraph is a challenge. You must become stronger than your excuses. This isn't metaphor, it's instruction. Your excuses will never go away. They are generated by your limbic system, the part of the brain concerned with survival, not greatness. The limbic system avoids discomfort. It wants short-term pleasure, ease, and predictability. It doesn't care about your goals or your legacy. That's why you must operate from your executive function, the rational and deliberate part of your brain that handles self-control and long-term planning. You must train yourself repetitively to obey the higher part of your mind, not the emotional reflexes that seek escape. That's why the paragraph says, you must build a mind that follows command, not feeling. In elite military and sports training, this principle is non-negotiable. Command overrides comfort. You don't ask if you feel like executing, you execute because it's the standard. That's what discipline really is, internal authority. It's not about harshness or rigidity. It's about programming your brain to act on decisions, not on emotions. This is also backed by cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which proves that repeated action in the face of discomfort rewires neural pathways. Over time, the brain begins to associate discipline with identity. You don't just do hard things, you become the kind of person who does hard things. And that's where the next part of the paragraph lands its punch. You force yourself not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. This is the gap between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs wait for ideal conditions. Professionals create those conditions through consistency. The word force isn't aggressive, it's intentional. It means showing up when you don't want to. It means working through mental resistance. It means honoring the commitment long after the excitement has died. Every time you force yourself to show up, especially when your mind resists, you increase your internal power. Let's go deeper into that. In behavioral science, this act of overriding emotional impulses is known as response inhibition. It's a crucial executive function that predicts everything from academic success to athletic performance. In a study published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, individuals with strong self-regulation abilities were shown to outperform others over long periods, regardless of intelligence or background. Why? Because they acted when it was difficult, because they didn't let feelings dictate behavior, because they learned to win the mental game. Now we reach the climax of the paragraph. Every time you override your weakness, your power grows. That's not motivational fluff, it's neuroscience. Each time you take action despite internal resistance, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex and reinforcing what's called effort-based learning. It's the same mechanism used in building habits and overcoming addiction. When your brain sees that effort leads to positive outcomes, even emotionally, those pathways get stronger. So yes, every rep counts. Every choice to override comfort compounds. It's not just discipline, it's identity change at a neurological level. That's why the paragraph's closing lines are so accurate and potent. That's where success lives, in resistance, in discipline, in self-conquest. Let's break that down. Resistance is where the battle starts. Discipline is the weapon, and self-conquest is the result. Success isn't just about achieving goals. It's about defeating the weaker version of yourself over and over again until it no longer controls you. It's about owning your mind, not being owned by it. You can see this principle in every high performer on the planet. Serena Williams didn't become great because she felt motivated every day. She became great because she kept showing up through injury, through loss, through fatigue. Steve Jobs didn't revolutionize industries because he had constant clarity. He did it because he worked through uncertainty. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't build a legacy in bodybuilding, film, and politics by listening to the voice that said rest. He silenced that voice and replaced it with command. That's the level of discipline this paragraph is calling for, the kind where hesitation dies before it can speak, where resistance is expected, not feared, where you develop the kind of mind that acts on orders, not feelings. So when your mind starts resisting, and it will, you win anyway, you act anyway, you train anyway, because that's the moment that matters most, not the moment when it's easy, but the one where every cell in your body says, not today, and you look it in the eye and say, watch me. Success doesn't happen despite resistance. It happens through it. 7. Stop negotiating with yourself. This isn't just a mindset issue, it's a neurological one. Your brain is a prediction machine. It tries to keep you safe by favoring what's familiar, easy, and comfortable. The part of the brain responsible for that survival-based decision-making is the amygdala, which is deeply wired to resist discomfort. When you're faced with a difficult task, whether it's waking up early, having a hard conversation, or going to the gym, your brain looks for ways to avoid stress. That's when the negotiation begins, and the longer that negotiation goes on, the less likely you are to follow through. Research in behavioral psychology confirms this. According to the concept of decision fatigue, the more choices you give yourself, the more mentally exhausted you become. Every unnecessary decision, should I do it now or later? Should I skip this workout? Should I give myself a break today? Drains willpower. This is why successful individuals remove options. They eliminate negotiation before it starts. It's not about being robotic, it's about being strategic. This leads directly into the idea that high achievers don't give themselves options, they give themselves orders. That line isn't just strong, it's scientific. In military training, high-performance coaching and behavioral therapy, pre-commitment is a key strategy. When you decide in advance that something will be done, regardless of how you feel, you bypass emotional resistance. Navy SEALs and elite athletes are trained to execute without hesitation. Not because they feel like it, but because it's the standard. They operate off principle, not preference. That level of internal authority is what this paragraph points to. Now consider the idea that force removes choice. Force here isn't aggression, it's non-negotiable action. It's discipline in its purest form. When you force yourself to take action, especially when your emotions say otherwise, you eliminate the mental loophole. This has powerful effects on identity formation. According to studies on self-determination theory, repeated deliberate action reinforces intrinsic motivation and builds a sense of agency. You stop acting like someone trying to succeed. You become the kind of person who succeeds. Identity doesn't just follow belief, it follows behavior. That's why the next line hits so hard. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, your brain gets weaker. This isn't an exaggeration. Procrastination has been shown to physically alter brain function. A 2016 study from Ruhr-Universität Bochum in Germany used brain scans to reveal that habitual procrastinators have a larger amygdala and weaker connections between the amygdala and the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and self-control. In simple terms, The more you delay action, the more your brain wires itself to avoid action in the future. You literally become someone who struggles to follow through. But there's good news. The reverse is also true. Every time you do the hard thing, even when you don't want to, you strengthen your neural pathways for discipline, willpower, and resilience. This is the science of neuroplasticity. Your brain changes based on what you repeatedly do. That's why the line, "I don't care how I feel, I'm doing this," is so powerful. It's not a motivational quote, it's a neurological strategy. It's how you teach your brain that action matters more than mood. And over time, this mindset builds a version of you that doesn't crack under pressure, that doesn't fold under fatigue, that doesn't negotiate with weakness. It builds a mind that cannot be broken, a mind that operates independently of excuses, external validation, or fleeting emotions. That kind of mental architecture is rare, and it's what separates average from elite. The final line of the paragraph, "The most dangerous version of yourself, the one that does it anyway," sums up everything. Danger here doesn't mean reckless, it means unshakable. It refers to the kind of person who's immune to the usual traps: fatigue, distraction, procrastination, doubt. That kind of person is dangerous because they're consistent, because they can't be stopped by mood swings or minor obstacles, because they act when others hesitate. And in a world where most people are governed by how they feel, the person who can move without permission from emotion becomes a force of nature. Let's talk about real-world examples. Think of people like Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL commander. He wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every day to train, not because he always feels motivated, but because it's a non-negotiable standard. Or David Goggins, who ran 100-mile races with broken bones. Why? Because he trained himself to do it anyway. These individuals don't have superpowers. They just don't waste time arguing with themselves. They act, they execute, they obey their own commands. But you don't need to be a SEAL or an ultra-marathoner to apply this. The principle works on any level, whether it's building a business, getting fit, studying for exams, or learning a new skill. Stop negotiating. Make the decision once. Build systems around it. Then follow through no matter how you feel. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more inspiration. You need self-command. And self-command only grows when you remove the option to retreat. When you tell your mind, "This is what we're doing," and then do it without hesitation, without a mental debate, without emotional polling. That's how you become disciplined. That's how you become reliable. That's how you become powerful. Because the most dangerous version of yourself isn't the one who gets hyped up. It's the one who gets it done. Every time, no matter what. 8. Break or build. There is no in-between. Let's begin with the opening statement. Every decision you make either strengthens you or softens you. This isn't a metaphor, it's a neurological fact. Your brain is constantly changing in response to how you act. This process is called neuroplasticity, and it means that every repetition, every choice to work or to procrastinate, to push forward or to quit, literally rewires your brain. When you choose discipline, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, planning, and control, gets stronger. When you choose ease, the limbic system, centered on emotion and impulse, takes over. Over time, one of those systems will dominate your behavior. This is why the paragraph emphasizes choice. When you choose the hard path, the workout you didn't want to do, the study session you nearly skipped, the focus you forced in a noisy world, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who gets it done. That's not just willpower, it's identity construction. According to research by Stanford psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck, people who associate effort with personal growth develop a growth mindset, a belief that abilities can be improved through dedication and hard work. These individuals not only achieve more, but also recover from failure faster. Why? Because they see every hard choice as an opportunity to build, not just to survive. And this applies on a micro level. Small actions matter more than people think. A 2006 study published in European Journal of Social Psychology by Philippa Lally and her team found that on average, it takes 66 days to form a habit. But the real takeaway wasn't the number, it was the principle. Every single repetition mattered. Missing a day didn't kill the habit, but each time a participant made the right choice, the habit became stronger. That's exactly what this paragraph is teaching. Success is built choice by choice, brick by brick, not in grand gestures, but in the tiny, seemingly insignificant decisions made daily. Which is why the next part hits so hard. But when you give in to laziness, distraction, comfort, you chip away at your edge. Notice the wording, chip away. It doesn't happen all at once. One missed workout doesn't ruin your body. One lazy day doesn't destroy your momentum. But the danger lies in pattern recognition. Your brain is watching, it's noticing what you allow. And if you start letting yourself off the hook consistently, the brain begins to normalize that behavior. What was once just a break becomes how you operate. This connects to a core idea in behavioral science, the consistency principle. According to Dr. Robert Cialdini, author of Influence, humans have a deep psychological need to remain consistent with their past actions. Once you make a decision, especially one that you repeat, your brain aligns your future behavior to match. That's why every lazy choice isn't just a temporary lapse, it's a message to your subconscious, this is who I am now. And the more often you repeat that message, the more difficult it becomes to reverse it. This is where the paragraph's title comes into full force. Break or build. There is no in-between, because in truth, most people live under the illusion of neutrality. They think skipping the workout, delaying the task, or choosing comfort just this once won't affect the bigger picture, but it does. Not because of the missed effort itself, but because of what it says about your standard. And standards, once lowered, are rarely lifted back up without significant effort. As former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom. Why? Because discipline is what protects your standards from erosion. Let's bring it into real-world examples. Look at elite performers, whether in sports, business, or the arts, and you'll see that the separation isn't just in talent, it's in how they treat the small things. Michael Jordan didn't become great by doing big things occasionally. He became great by doing small things, repetitively with intensity. Tim Grover, his trainer, said Jordan never skipped a workout, not because he always wanted to, but because he never negotiated with discipline. He chose the hard thing every time, and it built him into someone who didn't just play the game, he dominated it. Or consider someone building a business. Success doesn't come from one viral post or one brilliant pitch. It comes from sending that extra email, refining the offer again, reading when others are resting, pushing content when it feels pointless. Each one of those decisions either builds the brand or chips away at it. There is no middle ground. Either the foundation gets stronger or it weakens. Now bring that down to your daily life. Every time you hit snooze, scroll instead of study, or delay action, ask yourself, am I building or am I breaking? And the answer will always be clear, because inaction is not neutral, it's regression. Distraction is not harmless, it's directionless. And laziness isn't rest, it's rot in disguise. The good news, the inverse is equally true. Every time you do the hard thing, even for 5 minutes, you reinforce your power. You're not just finishing a task, you're telling your brain, this is who I am. You're laying down another layer of identity. You're stacking proof that you can be trusted to show up for yourself. And over time, those repetitions don't just build momentum, they build character. Success then becomes less about massive achievement and more about consistency in execution. That's what the paragraph means when it says success isn't complicated, it's cumulative. The formula is simple: make one strong decision, then make another, then repeat. Momentum is a snowball, small at first, but once it rolls, it becomes unstoppable. That's how you build something real. So when you're at a crossroads, when you're tempted to take the easy way out, to skip the hard thing, to push it to tomorrow, remember this: it's not just about today, it's about what you're building or what you're breaking. You're either strengthening your edge or softening it. There is no in-between, only choices and consequences. Choose to build every time. 9. Ignore the applause. Let's start with the first truth. When you begin to force success, people will notice. Some will admire, some will criticize, most won't understand. This isn't speculation, it's human behavior backed by psychology. Social comparison theory, introduced by Leon Festinger, explains how people naturally compare themselves to others to assess their own worth and progress. When you start leveling up, it disrupts the equilibrium of those around you. Some feel inspired, some feel threatened, some project their own insecurities onto you. The applause you get might feel good, but it's unreliable, inconsistent, and often rooted in things that have nothing to do with your actual effort or value. This is where things become dangerous. The brain is wired to crave approval. The release of dopamine, the pleasure and motivation chemical, is triggered by praise and validation. Likes, compliments, awards, all give your brain a hit of temporary satisfaction, but that can quickly become an addiction. You start chasing more validation, more visibility, more external reward. And without realizing it, your work becomes performative. You begin creating, acting, and moving, not based on what's right, but based on what will be liked. That's why the paragraph says, ignore all of them. Not because people's opinions don't matter at all, but because they can't be your compass. When you build your life around applause, you become easy to manipulate. You're driven by responses, not principles. You become reactive instead of intentional. And eventually, when the applause fades, as it always does, you lose momentum because your fuel source was external, not internal. Now look at the line, the journey to success is silent, lonely, misunderstood. This is not exaggeration, it's reality for almost every person who's built something great. The early stages of success are quiet. You're working when no one sees you. You're showing up when there's no audience. You're struggling through failures that no one claps for. In fact, most people don't understand what you're doing at all. They'll question you. They'll doubt you. Some will even try to talk you out of it, not because they hate you, but because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. This is supported by what psychologists call status quo bias. People prefer things to remain the same, and when you challenge that through growth, it disturbs their perception of reality. But if you can survive that silent stage, if you can keep going without applause, you build something stronger than success, self-mastery. That's what the next line emphasizes. The reward is not the recognition, it's the transformation. And that's the truth. You don't grow because people cheer for you. You grow because you grind when nobody notices, when no one's watching, when you're not getting likes, shares, or applause. The transformation happens in obscurity, and that transformation is what creates long-term greatness. Let's tie this to research. Studies on intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, especially the work of psychologist Edward Deci, have found that people who are driven by intrinsic goals like self-improvement, growth, meaning, perform better, stay more consistent, and experience deeper satisfaction than those chasing extrinsic rewards, money, fame, validation. External rewards can actually reduce motivation over time, especially when they replace the internal joy of the craft. That's why elite performers in any field tend to go dark. They stop announcing every move, they stop needing validation, because they've shifted from outcome-driven to process-obsessed. That leads us to one of the most powerful lines in this paragraph, the self-mastery that comes from doing the work when no one claps. That's where the real magic is. Self-mastery means you no longer need applause to move. You move because it's who you are. You execute because it's non-negotiable. And every time you train in silence, every time you work when there's no feedback, you harden your mindset. You train yourself to operate in any environment. No praise, no support, no fanfare. That's the kind of discipline that doesn't fade. This is what separates the amateurs from the professionals. Amateurs get hyped when people cheer and lose steam when they don't. Professionals execute with or without energy, with or without recognition. They understand that the process is the reward, the work is the prize, not the likes, not the applause, not the validation. That's why the final words in this paragraph hit with such force. Stay dangerous. Stay focused. Let the results make the noise. Stay dangerous means stay unpredictable. Stay self-reliant. Don't reveal everything. Don't broadcast every move. When people can't figure out your next step, they can't interfere with your progress. Stay focused is a reminder to lock in on what truly matters, the mission, the execution, the improvement, not the noise, not the metrics, not the audience. And finally, let the results make the noise, because results speak louder than announcements. You don't need to prove anything when you're building something real. This mindset is embodied by some of the most successful and respected individuals across industries. Think of icons like Steve Jobs, who often retreated into deep focus before launching game-changing products, or Michael Jordan, who trained in silence while his opponents talked, or Beyoncé, who drops entire albums without warning, letting the art do the speaking. These individuals are not driven by applause, they are driven by vision, and because of that, their work stands the test of time. You can do the same, but only if you make this mental shift. Don't perform. Don't build for attention. Build for excellence. Build for who you're becoming. Do the hard work in silence and let the world react when you're done, not while you're in the middle of becoming. Because applause fades, but mastery doesn't. And real respect comes not from the noise you make, but from the results you create. 10. This is your moment. Take it. No one is coming to save you. That single sentence carries a lifetime of truth. Whether you're talking about career, health, finances, or purpose, waiting for someone else to show up with the answer is a guaranteed path to stagnation. Studies in locus of control theory developed by psychologist Julian B. Rotter show that individuals with an internal locus of control, those who believe they are responsible for their outcomes, consistently outperform those with an external locus who think outcomes depend on luck, other people, or circumstances. Why? Because those with internal control don't wait, they act. When this paragraph says, "No one is going to hand you greatness," it's rejecting the entitlement mindset so common in the modern world. Many people believe they deserve success because they've worked hard for a few weeks, followed motivational pages, or posted about their goals. But success doesn't respond to declarations, it responds to relentless, measurable action. It isn't handed out like a trophy for showing up. It's earned, brick by brick, hour by hour, day by day. You have to take it, you have to fight for it. These aren't metaphorical words, they're real-world operating principles. In every domain of high performance, sports, business, art, leadership, those who win are not the most gifted, but the most aggressive in pursuit of their goals. Angela Duckworth's groundbreaking research in her book Grit proves this. She found that the people who achieve the highest levels of success are not the most talented, but the most resilient. They show up consistently, bounce back from failure, and fight harder than anyone else. This leads to the next crucial line. You have to force yourself into the life you know you were born to live. That's a profound psychological shift. You're not waiting for permission. You're not waiting for the right time. You're not waiting for confidence. You're forcing your way into your destiny. This isn't a passive process. It's an aggressive commitment to rewrite your life by acting daily in alignment with your highest values, regardless of how you feel. And then the hammer drops. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop hoping it gets easier. If you're someone who says, "I'll start when I'm ready," or "when life calms down," or "once I feel motivated again," understand that these are delay tactics. Behavioral scientists call this temporal discounting, the human tendency to put off hard action in favor of short-term comfort. The longer you delay, the harder it becomes. Life won't suddenly get easier. What changes is you. You become stronger, more focused, more capable, not by waiting but by forcing yourself to act when it's hardest. The paragraph then offers a tactical shift. Force yourself to be consistent, to be ruthless with your time, to be relentless in your actions. This isn't about being extreme, it's about being intentional. Every high-achieving person operates with a heightened sense of urgency around time. They protect it like a precious asset, because it is. According to a 2018 American Time Use survey, the average American spends nearly 5 hours a day on leisure and entertainment, including scrolling social media. That's over 1,800 hours per year. If even half of that was redirected toward learning, building, and executing, you could become dangerous. Consistency is king. It's the difference between wishing and winning. And it's not about intensity once in a while, it's about effort every day. This is what creates what psychologists call a compound identity, the person you become through your repeated actions. When you consistently act in alignment with your goals, you forge a new identity, one that doesn't flinch under pressure. Which brings us to the most powerful phrase in the entire paragraph, because success isn't for the chosen, it's for the forged. That completely dismantles the myth of natural-born greatness. The idea that success belongs to a gifted few is false. Repeated research, including Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset, shows that talent matters far less than effort, strategy, and resilience. You are not fixed, you are forgeable. You are a blacksmith in your own mind, shaping your focus, your discipline, your hunger through action, not talk. And finally, the paragraph closes with this, and you are forging yourself now. That's not just a motivational line, it's a mirror. It's telling you every choice you're making right now is shaping the kind of person you become tomorrow. Skipping the work, you're forging apathy. Making excuses, you're forging weakness. But showing up, pushing through, staying locked in, you're forging something rare, someone who finishes what they start. And that's the whole point of this paragraph. You do not need to be ready. You do not need to have it all figured out. You only need to start, to act, to face the resistance head on, to force movement because life isn't going to slow down. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Now is the perfect time." The perfect time doesn't exist. The only moment you truly own is this one, and what you do with it right now defines the rest of your life. So take the shot, build the thing, make them every small expense, every moment of lack. If you're constantly noticing what's missing, you're reinforcing scarcity. The truth is, wealthy people don't just have more money, they carry a different mindset. Imagine walking through life with quiet confidence, no more desperation, no more playing small, just a deep belief in abundance. In this video, I'll teach you how to train your mind to act as if you're already rich, so you naturally attract opportunities, success and wealth, because once you shift your identity, your reality starts to match it, and the world responds in kind. 1. The power of perception, an in-depth exploration. In today's world, wealth is often reduced to tangible metrics, money in the bank, cars, homes, and other material possessions. However, true wealth goes beyond what you own. It resides in how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. The way you think about your potential, your success, and your value shapes your reality. The most important step in attracting wealth is to see yourself as abundant, even before any material evidence is present. This mental shift can be transformative and set the foundation for long-term success. Perception plays a critical yet often overlooked role in wealth creation. People tend to associate being rich with flashy possessions or high-status symbols, but true wealth lies in an individual's mindset and confidence. Wealthy people don't simply display material wealth, they embody an aura of success that extends into their daily interactions. They walk with confidence, and that confidence attracts opportunities and relationships that further fuel their success. Your internal perception of yourself dictates how you present yourself to the world. If you see yourself as abundant, others will recognize you as such. This is the law of attraction at play. You attract what you believe you deserve. The way you carry yourself, even when your bank account doesn't match your aspirations, will influence how people treat you. Those around you may offer opportunities or guidance that propel you toward your goals. The concept of the law of attraction, popularized by The Secret, suggests that we attract what we focus on. But this principle is rooted in psychological science. Our beliefs and perceptions shape our behaviors, and behaviors ultimately shape our outcomes. If you constantly view yourself as someone who struggles or lacks, your actions will align with that belief. You might hesitate to take risks, second-guess decisions, or miss opportunities because of fear or doubt. Conversely, perceiving yourself as abundant and successful, even before you see tangible results, instills confidence. This confidence drives you to take bolder actions that align with your aspirations, eventually manifesting your desired reality. This mindset doesn't guarantee instant wealth, but it positions you to see opportunities you might have missed otherwise. A growth mindset backed by perception encourages forward momentum, improving the chances of success in career and finance. Confidence is an essential component of perception. It's not just about feeling good about your abilities, it's about recognizing your inherent worth in the grand scheme of things. Confidence is the internal belief that you deserve success and that you are capable of creating value. This belief is magnetic, drawing people, opportunities, and success toward you. Confidence doesn't mean pretending to be something you're not. It means aligning with the truth of your potential. Research from the University of Melbourne shows that individuals with high self-confidence tend to perform better in negotiations, social settings, and business dealings. Confidence in yourself correlates directly with external success. When you carry this internal belief, people naturally treat you with more respect and are more likely to invest in you, whether through business partnerships or personal connections. Wealth is not just about financial assets. It encompasses health, relationships, skills, and mindset. Even without millions in the bank, a person rich in knowledge, connections, and opportunities can create wealth in various forms. For instance, two people may have the same financial resources, but one views wealth as a means for growth, while the other hoards it or uses it for status. The former will likely continue to evolve, whereas the latter may stagnate. When you act as though you are already rich, you adopt the lifestyle of someone successful. This mindset shapes your behavior, influencing the decisions you make and how you interact with others. Over time, this shift in perception turns into tangible results. True wealth is a reflection of your internal state, not merely your external circumstances. Perception doesn't just affect how others see you, it affects how you see the world. If you view your life through a lens of abundance, setbacks become challenges to overcome, not permanent obstacles. This mental shift is empowering as it enables you to approach difficulties with a growth mindset. On the flip side, if you perceive yourself as someone who's always struggling, your emotional state becomes clouded by scarcity. You may feel victimized by circumstances, draining your energy and resilience. When challenges arise, a mindset of abundance helps you see them as stepping stones. You build resilience, as setbacks no longer define your potential, but rather serve as lessons to learn from. This shift from a mindset of lack to one of abundance is key to cultivating the mental toughness required to thrive in adversity. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, provides a scientific foundation for the power of perception. Studies show that positive thinking and visualization can enhance cognitive functions, improve problem-solving abilities, and foster creativity. These cognitive abilities are essential for success. When you repeatedly perceive yourself as abundant and capable, your brain begins to form neural pathways that support those beliefs. Over time, these pathways become stronger, making it easier for you to act confidently and think strategically. As your brain rewires itself to match your perception, you become more adept at creating opportunities and navigating challenges. Perception doesn't only impact you, it influences those around you as well. When you perceive yourself as wealthy, this perception spreads, your energy becomes contagious. People begin to see you as someone capable and successful, which can open doors to valuable connections and collaborations. The ripple effect of your perceived abundance creates a positive feedback loop that attracts even more opportunities and success. Furthermore, projecting abundance can inspire others to see their own potential. This shared energy boosts collective growth, as people become more confident in their abilities, and they in turn contribute to your success. As you become more successful, you also lift others around you, creating a community of like-minded individuals who can support and collaborate with you. 2. Confidence breeds opportunities. Confidence has an incredible power to shape our interactions and outcomes in life. When you walk into a room, whether it's a casual gathering or a professional setting, the way you carry yourself speaks volumes before you even say a word. Imagine yourself at a dinner party where a conversation is unfolding. There's someone in the group who stands out, not because they're loud or dominating the conversation, but because their words are delivered with confidence. They don't need to boast about their achievements. Their self-assurance is evident in the way they speak, the value they provide, and the ease with which they carry themselves. This is the type of presence that attracts opportunities. When you act as if you are already rich, not just financially, but rich in potential, knowledge, and self-belief, you begin to embody the same self-assurance. You don't need to flaunt anything or seek validation from others. Your energy and demeanor communicate success in a way that naturally draws people in. Confidence makes you magnetic. It signals to others that you are someone worth paying attention to, someone who has something valuable to offer. Opportunities don't just come because you're trying to impress or because you're putting yourself out there in an exaggerated way. When you exude genuine confidence, the opportunities appear because people recognize your worth without you needing to sell it. The best business deals, collaborations, and even friendships often come from the unspoken things we communicate. Think about it. People are more likely to want to partner with you, learn from you, or invest in you if they believe you have something of value to offer, not just financially but intellectually and emotionally as well. This is where the power of acting as if you're already rich becomes evident. It's not about waiting for a future financial situation to define who you are. It's about owning your worth and acting in alignment with that perception, regardless of where you stand financially. The way you present yourself in social or professional situations is just as important, if not more, than the tangible assets you possess. Wealth isn't only material, it's a mindset, an attitude that informs how you approach life. When you carry yourself with confidence, people see that, and recognize that you're someone who knows what they're doing, someone who is worth engaging with. Research has shown that confidence can actually affect how we are perceived by others and how we perform in different situations. For instance, a study from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that confident individuals were more likely to be hired and promoted because their assertiveness and self-assuredness signaled leadership qualities. Confidence helps in all areas of life, from personal relationships to career growth. It has the power to attract opportunities that you may not have even anticipated. People with confidence can often convince others to invest in their ideas, their projects, or their future because they believe in themselves first. This belief is contagious. It makes others feel like they're betting on a winning horse. Conversely, those who lack confidence often struggle to gain trust or interest because they project doubt or uncertainty. The difference is subtle but significant. Confidence doesn't need to scream for attention. It naturally draws others in because it conveys a sense of reliability and assurance that makes people comfortable following your lead. When you act as if you're already rich in confidence, the opportunities will start to come to you not because you're seeking them out desperately, but because you're already aligning with a mindset of abundance. People who project confidence can create situations where success is the natural outcome. This doesn't mean that obstacles won't come. It simply means that you will be better equipped to handle them with poise, to make the most out of situations and to attract the right people into your circle, whether it's a business opportunity, a job offer, or an introduction to someone influential. Confidence lays the foundation for your success. It doesn't guarantee wealth, but it certainly paves the way for it. 3. The power of visualization. Successful individuals don't just sit back and hope for wealth to come to them. They actively visualize it. They engage in a practice that goes beyond wishful thinking, where they see themselves walking through life, living with wealth, influence, and the success they desire. This is not about merely fantasizing about a dream lifestyle. It's about using visualization as a tool to manifest those desires into reality. At the core of this practice is the ability to picture in vivid detail the life you want to create. When you visualize success, you are not only seeing yourself in that ideal scenario, but you are also mentally rehearsing the actions and behaviors that come with it. Imagine yourself already in the position you aspire to be in. How do you carry yourself? How do you make decisions? How do you interact with others? This practice of vividly imagining the details of your future life helps you to better understand what it takes to reach your goals, and it begins to align your actions with those desires. A visualization goes beyond just creating a mental picture. It's about aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions to support your vision. When you visualize yourself achieving wealth and success, you begin to internalize the belief that it's possible. This belief becomes a driving force in your life, motivating you to take action towards your goals, even when the path seems unclear. The power of visualization lies in its ability to activate certain areas of the brain. Research in neuroscience has shown that visualization activates the same brain regions as actual physical actions. When you visualize yourself performing a task or achieving something, your brain begins to believe that it's real, preparing you mentally and emotionally for that success. This mental rehearsal improves performance and builds confidence. In fact, studies have shown that athletes who visualize their performance can often improve their skills and outcomes without ever physically practicing the act. The mind doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined scenario and a real-life experience, meaning that by consistently visualizing success, you are mentally preparing yourself for the reality you want to create. Furthermore, visualization doesn't just change how you think, it also influences how you act. When you regularly visualize your desired success, your brain becomes more attuned to opportunities that align with your goals. You start to notice opportunities you may have otherwise overlooked, and your actions are driven by a sense of purpose and alignment with your visualized success. For example, if you visualize yourself as a successful entrepreneur, you may begin to see opportunities for networking, investments, or business ventures that you may not have recognized previously. Your actions begin to follow the path you've mentally rehearsed, making your dreams increasingly attainable. The universe, in many spiritual philosophies, is believed to respond to the energy you put out. By visualizing your success, you align yourself with the energy of abundance and possibility. The law of attraction, as described in popular personal development literature, suggests that by focusing on positive thoughts and creating mental clarity around your desires, you begin to attract those very desires into your life. Visualization acts as a beacon that signals to the world what you want and opens up the space for those opportunities to enter your life. In addition to attracting external opportunities, visualization can help overcome internal barriers that may stand in your way. Often, the only thing that holds us back from achieving our dreams is our own limiting beliefs. These beliefs can manifest in thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't do this." When you visualize yourself already living the life you want, you begin to overwrite those limiting beliefs. Visualization allows you to reprogram your subconscious mind, gradually replacing fear and doubt with confidence and determination. It's important to note that visualization is not about wishful thinking without action. It is a catalyst for action. Once you have vividly visualized your goals, you need to back them up with tangible efforts. But visualization helps set the tone for your actions. It provides clarity and focus so that you know exactly what steps to take to make your vision a reality. For example, if you envision yourself as a published author, you will begin to take steps towards writing, researching, and submitting your work. These actions will be driven by your clear and consistent vision. Furthermore, the act of visualizing wealth and success can also impact your emotional state. The more you picture yourself living the life you desire, the more emotionally connected you become to your goals. This emotional connection is powerful. It creates a sense of excitement and passion, which propels you forward. Your emotions become a source of energy that fuels your actions, helping you push through difficult moments. There is also a social aspect to visualization. As you begin to believe in your own success, others begin to notice this shift in your energy and attitude. Confidence, clarity, and purpose are magnetic traits. When you project this energy, people around you start to take you more seriously. They see you as someone who is determined and capable, and this perception can open doors for you in both your personal and professional life. Opportunities begin to flow to you not because you're forcing them, but because you've aligned yourself with the energy of success, and the world recognizes that. Visualization, when practiced consistently and with intention, becomes an integral part of your journey to success. It is not just a passive activity, but an active tool that shapes how you think, how you act, and how the world interacts with you. By visualizing the life you desire, you align your mind and energy with those goals, creating the conditions for them to manifest in the physical world. It is this combination of mental preparation, clarity, and action that ultimately transforms your dreams into reality. 4. Abandoning fear of failure. One of the most empowering aspects of acting as if you're already rich is the freedom it brings from the fear of failure. Many people are paralyzed by the idea of failing, but when you adopt the mindset of success and abundance, that fear dissipates. Successful individuals know that setbacks and obstacles are an inevitable part of the journey, and they don't let them deter them from their goals. Believing you are destined for success frees you from the shackles of fear, enabling you to take risks and embrace challenges that others might shy away from. Fear of failure is one of the greatest obstacles to personal growth and success. For most people, the idea of failing is so uncomfortable that they avoid taking risks altogether. They play it safe, sticking to what is familiar and secure. However, those who are truly successful understand that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Wealthy individuals and high achievers are not immune to setbacks. In fact, they experience failure just like anyone else. The key difference is in how they perceive it. Rather than seeing failure as an endpoint, they see it as a necessary part of the growth process, a stepping stone on the path to success. When you act as if you're already rich, you adopt this same mindset. Instead of fearing failure, you view it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Every setback becomes a lesson that brings you closer to your goal. This mindset shift is crucial because it allows you to take bold action without being consumed by the fear of making mistakes. It empowers you to experiment, innovate, and push beyond your comfort zone, all of which are essential components of success. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Each time you fail, you gain feedback that helps you adjust your approach. Successful people don't see failure as a reflection of their worth or an indication that they aren't good enough. Instead, they view it as data, an opportunity to refine their methods and strategies. For example, Thomas Edison, who failed countless times while inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This perspective is essential in building a mindset that is resilient and focused on long-term success. The fear of failure is often tied to an underlying lack of self-belief. People who fear failure worry that their mistakes will define them, or worse, they worry that others will judge them negatively. However, when you act as if you are already successful, you develop an unshakable confidence that failure does not diminish your worth. Wealthy individuals who have reached the highest levels of success have often faced criticism, rejection, and failure, but their sense of value is not dependent on external validation. They understand that their worth is intrinsic, and no single failure can take that away. This mindset also helps you become more resilient in the face of adversity. When you act as if you are already rich, you take the attitude that no challenge is too big to overcome. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity to prove your perseverance and determination. For example, entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk faced numerous failures throughout their careers, but they didn't let these setbacks stop them from pursuing their dreams. They continued to push forward, learning from their mistakes and using each failure as a foundation for their next success. The ability to face challenges head-on without being deterred is a hallmark of those who achieve great success. Moreover, the fear of failure often stems from a sense of attachment to outcomes. People are afraid to fail because they have an emotional investment in a specific result. When you adopt the mindset of someone who is already successful, you let go of this attachment. You no longer define yourself by a single outcome, but by the process of growth and learning. This detachment allows you to pursue your goals with greater freedom and less stress. You begin to realize that success is not a straight line, it's a series of ups and downs, with each setback providing valuable insights into what works and what doesn't. This shift in mindset also enables you to become more proactive. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or trying to avoid failure at all costs, you take action regardless of potential risks. People who act as if they are already rich take calculated risks because they understand that there is no success without failure. This proactive approach allows them to seize opportunities that others might miss, knowing that every step they take, even if it's a misstep, brings them closer to their desired outcome. In addition, acting as if you're already rich in your mindset helps to build mental toughness. Each time you face a challenge and push through, your confidence grows, and your ability to handle future difficulties improves. This creates a feedback loop where success builds on success. The more you overcome, the more you realize your own capacity for growth and achievement. As you continue to face and conquer setbacks, you develop a stronger sense of self-belief and resilience, which propels you even further toward your goals. The process of abandoning the fear of failure and embracing failure as a necessary step in the journey of success requires mental training. It's not something that happens overnight, but with consistent effort, you can cultivate a mindset that is unshakable in the face of adversity. When you stop fearing failure, you unlock your potential for growth and success. You take action without hesitation, knowing that failure is not the end, but merely a part of the process of achieving greatness. This mindset allows you to move forward with courage, focus, and determination, qualities that are essential for anyone aiming to create lasting wealth and success. 5. Taking decisive action. One of the most significant distinctions between successful individuals and those who struggle is the ability to take decisive action. Acting rich, or acting as if you're already wealthy, isn't about waiting for the perfect moment or for circumstances to be ideal. It's about moving with clarity, confidence, and purpose when opportunities arise. The wealthy are known for their ability to make decisions quickly and take action without unnecessary hesitation or second-guessing. They know that waiting for things to fall into place can cause them to lose valuable opportunities. By acting decisively, they maintain momentum and continue to move toward their goals regardless of external conditions. Decisive action is not about rushing or acting without consideration. It's about making decisions with confidence and commitment. Wealthy individuals understand that the cost of hesitation can be substantial, often resulting in missed opportunities or wasted time. In the fast-paced world of business and entrepreneurship, time is money, and delaying decisions or second-guessing yourself can lead to losing a competitive edge. When opportunity arises, those who are successful don't sit around analyzing every possible outcome for fear of making the wrong choice. Instead, they gather the necessary information, trust their instincts, and act. This doesn't mean that wealthy individuals never face uncertainty or make mistakes. Everyone experiences doubt at some point, and making mistakes is a part of the growth process. However, the key to success is in how quickly they recover and adapt from those mistakes. Instead of dwelling on past missteps, wealthy individuals view them as learning opportunities and move forward with a sense of confidence that they will continue to make progress toward their goals. In fact, their ability to take action, even in the face of uncertainty, often positions them to make quicker adjustments and stay ahead of others. When you act as if you're already rich, you adopt the mindset of someone who is actively creating their own opportunities rather than waiting for them to present themselves. Rather than sitting back and waiting for external circumstances to change, you take control of your own destiny. This mindset shift is crucial because it encourages proactive behavior and aligns your actions with your goals. Instead of letting fear of failure or the unknown hold you back, you focus on what you can do now, no matter how small or imperfect the steps may seem. Wealthy individuals don't wait for the right time because they know that waiting can often lead to missed chances. They understand that success comes from taking action in the present, regardless of the current situation. The power of decisive action is not just about making big, bold moves. It's also about consistently taking small steps forward. Success is not typically a result of one grand gesture or a single dramatic change, but of a series of consistent actions over time. When you act with purpose and decisiveness, you create a snowball effect where your efforts compound and lead to increasingly larger opportunities. The wealthy understand that every small step is part of a larger journey. They stay focused on their long-term goals and take actions that align with those aspirations, no matter how incremental the progress may seem. Another aspect of decisiveness is the ability to trust your instincts. Wealthy individuals often possess a high degree of self-assurance and rely on their experience, intuition, and judgment when making decisions. This level of trust in oneself is built over time as people consistently make decisions and see the results of their actions. By acting as if you are already rich, you start building that same level of self-trust. You begin to rely on your own judgment and act quickly rather than overthinking and doubting yourself. This trust in your decisions helps you maintain a sense of empowerment and control over your circumstances, which is essential when navigating the challenges of building wealth. In addition, taking decisive action fosters a sense of momentum. Momentum is a powerful force that propels you toward your goals. Once you start taking action, you create a positive feedback loop. The more you act, the more confident you become, and the more opportunities seem to open up. Success breeds more success. Wealthy individuals know that the key to creating momentum is simply getting started. By making the decision to act, no matter how small the initial step, you begin to build the forward movement that will eventually carry you to greater accomplishments. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to get started, and the more opportunities you lose. One of the key reasons why decisive action is essential for wealth creation is that it helps you overcome the fear of failure. Many people delay taking action because they fear making the wrong decision or facing failure. But when you act as if you're already successful, you realize that failure is not the end. It's part of the journey. Failure is feedback, and it's an essential part of learning and growth. Wealthy individuals don't fear failure. They embrace it as an opportunity to adjust and improve. By consistently taking action, They accumulate experiences and knowledge that enable them to make better decisions in the future. This process of trial and error allows them to refine their strategies and increase their chances of success. Moreover, acting decisively means that you are not only reacting to opportunities but also creating them. Wealthy individuals don't wait for opportunities to come to them, they go out and create them. They identify gaps in the market, recognize trends, and take bold steps to capitalize on them. By making decisions quickly and acting on those decisions, they position themselves as leaders in their industries. They know that in order to stay ahead, they must consistently act with intention and urgency. This proactive behavior helps them gain a competitive advantage and ensures they don't miss out on valuable opportunities. Ultimately, taking decisive action is about building a habit of moving forward. When you act as if you are already wealthy, you start making decisions with the same confidence and clarity that successful people use. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions, and instead you create those conditions by acting decisively. Whether it's a small daily task or a major life decision, taking action consistently will lead to progress, growth, and ultimately the wealth you seek. 6. Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. Wealth isn't just something that can be accumulated, it's a mindset that is contagious. Just as you might catch a cold from being around someone who is sick, you can also catch the mindset of wealth from the people you associate with. One of the most powerful ways to act as if you're already rich is by surrounding yourself with individuals who reflect the mindset and values you aspire to embody. This is because the people around you play a significant role in shaping your behavior, beliefs, and habits. If you are constantly around individuals who dwell on scarcity, negativity, or who constantly complain about life, it becomes incredibly difficult to maintain an optimistic, abundant mindset. Conversely, when you choose to surround yourself with people who see possibility in every situation, who understand that success is a collective effort, you naturally begin to mirror their energy and behaviors. Wealthy individuals, especially those who have sustained success, tend to avoid the company of people who focus on limitations and negativity. These people often see the world through a lens of lack, constantly talking about what they don't have, what others have taken from them, or how things are unfair. This kind of thinking breeds stagnation, and it's hard to move forward when you're surrounded by such an energy. Wealthy individuals recognize that energy is powerful, and they are deliberate about who they allow into their personal and professional circles. They know that being surrounded by negativity can drag them down, while associating with positive, forward-thinking people can help elevate their mindset and push them closer to their goals. On the other hand, individuals who maintain a growth-oriented mindset and focus on opportunity rather than obstacles are the types of people who can contribute to your growth. When you spend time with people who believe in abundance, who see potential in challenges, and who approach life with a can-do attitude, you begin to adopt these same attitudes and behaviors. This doesn't just happen in a superficial way. It happens deeply at a psychological level. Your brain starts to mirror the thoughts and behaviors of those you spend the most time with. If your peers are always seeking ways to improve, innovate, and grow, you're far more likely to adopt these practices in your own life. There's a well-known concept in psychology called social contagion, which refers to the spread of behaviors, attitudes, and emotions within a group. Studies have shown that you are likely to adopt the attitudes and habits of those around you. This is why surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals is so crucial for success. If you want to act like you're already rich, find people who are already living the kind of life you aspire to. The more you surround yourself with people who are already successful, both financially and personally, the more likely you are to absorb their beliefs and behaviors, aligning yourself with the success you want to achieve. Wealthy individuals know that success is a shared journey. Success doesn't happen in isolation, and they recognize the importance of collaboration, networking, and learning from others. When you connect with others who are already successful, you open up opportunities to collaborate, exchange ideas, and share resources. These interactions can propel you further in your journey towards success. For example, a business owner who surrounds themselves with other entrepreneurs can exchange valuable insights, partner on projects, and even get access to resources they might not have had before. The impact of being around like-minded individuals goes beyond just professional growth. It also influences your personal mindset. People who live in abundance are not constantly in competition with others or focused on comparing their success to those around them. Instead, they celebrate the success of others, understanding that when one person succeeds, it doesn't take away from their own potential to succeed. This kind of mindset creates an environment where collaboration and support thrive. Success becomes a communal experience where each person's growth lifts the others around them. In this environment, you start to see challenges as shared problems to solve rather than insurmountable barriers. When you're surrounded by people who see possibilities in challenges, you start to approach obstacles with a problem-solving attitude instead of feeling defeated. This fosters a mindset of continuous growth and resilience. For instance, if you're working on a project and run into a setback, being around people who encourage you to look at the solution instead of the problem can help you push through much faster than if you were routed by people who only see the barriers. Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals also has a positive impact on your habits. Wealthy people often have habits that contribute to their success, whether it's waking up early, prioritizing health, staying disciplined in their work, or maintaining a positive outlook. When you associate with individuals who practice these habits, you're more likely to adopt them as well. You begin to adopt the routines, practices, and behaviors that will ultimately lead to your success. On the flip side, it's important to recognize when the people around you are holding you back. If your current social circle is full of individuals who focus on problems rather than solutions, constantly complain or discourage your efforts, it may be time to reassess your relationships. This doesn't mean you have to cut off friends or family, but it's about balancing your social circle with those who can positively impact your journey. The more you align yourself with individuals who embody the mindset you want to adopt, the more likely it is that you will adopt it too. By surrounding yourself with the right people, you begin to naturally mirror their energy, behaviors, and mindset. This mirroring process can accelerate your own success. The behaviors, attitudes, and practices of successful people are not exclusive to them. They can be learned and adopted by anyone. As you start to absorb the mindsets of those you admire, your thoughts, actions, and ultimately your reality will shift towards success. The right people will challenge you, push you to be better, and inspire you to take actions you might not have considered before. Wealth and success are not just about financial abundance, but about aligning yourself with people who elevate your thinking and support your journey. 7. Self-care as an investment. Acting as if you're already rich is not solely about accumulating wealth or material possessions. One of the core principles of living with abundance is valuing yourself, your health, mind, and emotions. Wealthy individuals understand that their greatest asset is their health. Without good health, even the largest bank account loses its significance. Therefore, they prioritize self-care just as much as they do their business ventures. For them, their physical, mental, and emotional well-being are investments that pay dividends far beyond financial wealth. When you adopt this mindset and start treating your health with the same level of importance as you would a million-dollar asset, you begin to set the foundation for lasting success and well-being in all aspects of your life. We often think of investment in terms of money, stocks, real estate, and business ventures, but the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Wealthy people understand this concept well. They recognize that without taking care of their physical, mental, and emotional health, their ability to generate wealth and manage success diminishes. Your health directly affects your ability to be productive, focused, and successful in any venture. If you don't invest in your well-being, it becomes much harder to maintain the energy and resilience required to achieve and sustain wealth. The first and most tangible way to invest in yourself is by taking care of your body. Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life, and its condition directly impacts your performance. Wealthy individuals understand the value of nourishing their bodies with good food, regular exercise, and enough rest. Eating well provides the necessary nutrients to fuel your brain and body, ensuring that you have the energy to perform at your highest level. Consuming foods that are nutrient-dense, rich in vitamins and minerals and low in processed ingredients, helps maintain both physical vitality and mental clarity. Exercise, meanwhile, improves physical fitness, boosts energy and reduces stress, while also promoting a sense of well-being and discipline. Regular exercise, even in small increments, has been shown to improve cognitive function, mood, and productivity, making it an essential investment in your ability to perform at your best. However, self-care extends far beyond just physical health. It also encompasses mental and emotional well-being. Mental health is just as important as physical health because it dictates how you think, react, and perform in various situations. Wealthy individuals know that without mental clarity, it's difficult to make good decisions or maintain focus. Meditation, mindfulness, and stress management practices are integral components of a healthy, successful life. Meditation, for example, has been shown to reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and enhance focus, all of which are essential for thriving in both business and personal life. By taking time to clear your mind and prioritize mental health, you increase your emotional resilience, allowing you to navigate challenges with more grace and stability. In addition to meditation, engaging in activities that promote mental well-being, such as reading, journaling, or pursuing hobbies, also contribute to your overall success. Lifelong learning and mental stimulation are key aspects of growing as an individual and enhancing your ability to adapt to changing circumstances. When you invest in your mind through education or mental exercises, you're better equipped to handle complex problems, generate new ideas, and recognize opportunities for growth. Emotional health is another critical aspect of self-care. Wealthy individuals understand that emotional well-being is directly linked to success. When you have emotional stability, you can maintain strong relationships, make better decisions, and navigate challenges with confidence. Developing emotional intelligence, EQ, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions, is a key factor in personal and professional success. Individuals with high EQ are better at managing stress, working through conflicts, and maintaining a positive outlook. This emotional balance also allows you to remain resilient in the face of setbacks, making it easier to recover from failures and keep moving forward. One important aspect of investing in your emotional health is creating healthy boundaries. Wealthy individuals know how to manage their time and energy by setting limits on their work and personal commitments. They avoid burnout by prioritizing what matters most and saying no when necessary. Self-care isn't just about relaxation, it's about protecting your time, energy, and emotional health. By learning to set boundaries and say no to distractions or obligations that don't align with your goals, you're able to conserve your energy for what truly matters. When you act as if you're already rich, this mindset encourages you to treat self-care as a priority, not a luxury. This shift in perspective transforms your relationship with health and well-being, allowing you to make the time and effort needed for regular exercise, proper nutrition, and mental and emotional practices. The more you invest in yourself, the more capable you become of handling the challenges that come with building and maintaining wealth. In the same way that wealthy individuals put time and effort into their financial assets, they also dedicate resources, time, energy, and attention to their personal well-being. Wealthy individuals also tend to focus on work-life balance. They understand that while business ventures and wealth building are important, personal fulfillment, happiness, and connection are just as essential for sustained success. Investing in relationships, taking vacations, or spending time with loved ones are all part of ensuring a well-rounded life. By creating space for both work and personal enjoyment, wealthy individuals maintain their energy and enthusiasm, which fuels their drive for success. A balanced life is a productive life, and investing in your well-being ensures you have the energy and focus to pursue your goals. Ultimately, treating yourself as your greatest asset doesn't just benefit you physically or emotionally, it pays dividends in all areas of life. When you take the time to nourish your body, calm your mind, and nurture your emotional health, you become more aligned with your vision of wealth and success. This internal investment creates a foundation for all other forms of wealth to flow into your life, from financial success to stronger relationships and personal fulfillment. Self-care is not a luxury, It's a necessity for anyone looking to truly succeed. When you prioritize your health and well-being, everything else in life becomes easier to achieve. 8. Mastering the art of giving. One of the most transformative aspects of acting as if you're already rich is learning to embrace generosity. This doesn't just mean giving away material wealth. It extends to giving in various forms, be it time, knowledge, or resources. Wealthy individuals understand that true prosperity doesn't come from hoarding or accumulating wealth for its own sake. Instead, they recognize that wealth grows through the act of sharing. The principle behind this is simple but powerful. When you give, you send a signal to the universe that you have abundance to spare. By giving freely, you invite even more abundance into your life. Generosity is a cornerstone of wealth because it operates on the principle of abundance, not scarcity. When you give, you are showing that you do not view resources, whether financial, emotional, or intellectual, as limited. Wealthy people know that there is always more to be gained, and by sharing what they have, they create space for more to flow into their lives. Giving becomes a reflection of the mindset that there is enough for everyone, and in turn, this abundance mindset is what attracts more wealth. Wealthy individuals don't give out of obligation or to receive something in return. Instead, they give because they understand that sharing is a form of investment, not just in others but in their own well-being and future success. The act of giving is far more than a simple transaction. It creates a powerful energy of flow. When you give without expectation, the energy you put into the world circulates and often returns to you multiplied. This is not to say that wealth is guaranteed just because you give, but the act of giving opens up the channels of receiving, whether it's knowledge, resources, or time. Giving without expecting anything in return generates a flow of positive energy, relationships, and opportunities. This is why wealthy individuals often find themselves surrounded by even more wealth. It's not just about accumulating money, but about contributing to the world in meaningful ways. The psychology behind giving is also key to understanding its power. Studies have shown that generosity actually triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone that promotes feelings of connection and happiness. When people give, they often experience a sense of joy and fulfillment, which creates a positive emotional feedback loop. This not only enhances their well-being, but encourages them to continue giving. Wealthy individuals are aware of this emotional and psychological benefit, and they use it as part of their strategy for maintaining long-term prosperity and happiness. Generosity also works to build social capital. People naturally gravitate towards those who are generous, as it signals kindness, trust, and a willingness to support others. Wealthy individuals, by regularly giving, cultivate strong networks and relationships that ultimately contribute to their success. They don't give to create these networks, they give because they understand the power of building relationships based on trust and mutual support. In turn, these relationships often lead to new opportunities, partnerships, or ideas that further elevate their success. Importantly, giving is not always about giving money. It can also mean sharing your knowledge and expertise. Many successful people build wealth by mentoring others, offering advice, or teaching skills. By sharing what they know, they help elevate the success of those around them, which in turn contributes to their own growth. When you share knowledge, you solidify your position as an expert in your field, attract opportunities for collaborations, and establish yourself as a trusted resource. The act of giving knowledge or support doesn't diminish your expertise, rather it reinforces it. The more you give, the more you build a reputation for being valuable, and this naturally attracts further success. Similarly, sharing time is another vital form of generosity. Time is often considered the most precious resource because once it's gone, it can never be reclaimed. When you give your time to others, you are showing that you value them and their success as much as your own. Whether it's volunteering, offering assistance, or simply being there for others, the act of giving your time fosters deeper connections and enhances your reputation. People who have your time are likely to feel more connected to you and are more likely to support you in return when the time comes. When you act as if you are already rich, you begin to realize that true wealth is not just about accumulating material resources, it's about creating a balance between receiving and giving. Many of the most successful people in the world recognize that their wealth is tied to their ability to contribute to the lives of others. They are driven by a sense of purpose that involves more than just amassing wealth for themselves. They use their success to make a positive impact, whether it's through philanthropy, mentorship, or community involvement. They understand that the more they give, the more their wealth will grow, not just in material terms, but in experiences, relationships, and personal fulfillment. Giving also teaches you to detach from the need for control. When you give generously, you are putting trust in the process, knowing that what you give will return to you in some form. This is a core lesson for building long-term success, learning to let go and trust that your efforts will come back to you. Many wealthy individuals take this lesson to heart, focusing on the bigger picture rather than immediate gratification or control over outcomes. They trust that their generosity will multiply and that they will continue to receive wealth, but in ways that might be unexpected or unconventional. Ultimately, mastering the art of giving allows you to cultivate an abundance mindset that is essential for lasting wealth. When you give without expecting something in return, you attract more opportunities, create deeper relationships, and build a positive reputation that leads to more success. This approach doesn't just apply to the wealthy. Anyone can practice generosity to create positive energy and attract success. The more you give, the more you receive, and in that cycle of giving and receiving, your wealth, both material and personal, grows in profound and unexpected ways. 9. Living with integrity. Integrity is a non-negotiable quality for anyone who has achieved true wealth and success. When you act as if you're already rich, it's not just about what you have in your bank account or the possessions you own. It's about the person you are, the reputation you build, and the values you uphold. Wealth, at its core, is deeply intertwined with character, and integrity is the bedrock upon which lasting success is built. When you live with integrity, you align your actions with your principles, which creates an authentic, trustworthy foundation that attracts success, not only financial, but also personal and professional. Living with integrity means being authentic, which is about being true to yourself and to others. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not to fit into certain circles or project an image of wealth. True wealth comes when you embody your values in all that you do. This is why wealthy individuals focus not just on building their financial portfolio, but on creating a life and a reputation that reflects their authentic self. Wealthy people understand that material success is fleeting, but a reputation built on trust and respect lasts a lifetime. Integrity in business is paramount. Honoring your word, being transparent, and treating others with fairness are essential practices for building a reputation that can stand the test of time. When you act as if you're already wealthy, you adopt the mindset that your reputation is as valuable, if not more valuable, than the financial success you hope to achieve. Wealthy individuals don't compromise their values to make a quick profit. They know that shortcuts, dishonesty, or manipulative behaviors may lead to temporary gains, but they'll ultimately damage relationships and tarnish a reputation, leading to long-term losses. Building wealth through integrity means staying true to your commitments, both to yourself and to others. People with integrity honor their promises and take responsibility for their actions. This reliability is a crucial element of successful relationships, whether in business or personal life. When you are dependable and trustworthy, people want to work with you, collaborate with you, and invest in your ventures because they know you will follow through. This builds loyalty and strong partnerships, which can be more valuable than any amount of money you could earn in isolation. Integrity also requires you to have a strong moral compass, especially when faced with tough decisions. In a world that often prioritizes quick profits or success at any cost, living with integrity means choosing the right path, even when it's more difficult. Wealthy individuals who have built their success on integrity do so by making decisions that align with their values, even if it means walking away from an opportunity that doesn't feel right or waiting longer to achieve their goals. This long-term perspective pays off. They understand that true success comes from doing the right thing consistently, even when it's not the easiest option. Living with integrity also means showing respect to others, whether they are clients, employees, or business partners. Wealthy people don't view others as mere stepping stones to their success. They recognize that relationships are integral to their prosperity and that treating people with kindness and respect is a way of ensuring those relationships are mutually beneficial. When you act as if you're already rich, you approach every interaction with a sense of fairness and honesty, knowing that the way you treat others reflects your character and influences the success you attract. This authenticity builds trust, and trust is the foundation of any meaningful business or personal relationship. The wealthiest individuals know that building trust requires consistent, authentic behavior. When you have a reputation for being trustworthy, people are more likely to approach you with opportunities, invest in your ideas, and partner with you for future success. They know that when they invest in relationships built on integrity, they are investing in something that will yield returns far greater than anything financial could. Furthermore, living with integrity has a profound effect on your own sense of self-worth. When you act with integrity, you create a sense of inner peace and fulfillment because you know that your success isn't the result of shortcuts or exploiting others. Instead, it comes from making decisions that align with your principles. Wealthy individuals who have sustained success often say that true happiness is not derived from their bank account, but from knowing they have built their success on their values. One of the most important aspects of integrity is the ability to remain accountable for your actions, especially when things go wrong. Those who act with integrity don't shy away from their mistakes or try to blame others. Instead, they acknowledge their failures, take responsibility, and learn from them. This level of self-awareness and accountability is what allows them to grow and improve over time. People who live with integrity are continually evolving as they use their experiences to refine their character and become more effective in their endeavors. The wealth that comes from integrity is not just financial, it's emotional, relational, and spiritual. When you live authentically, you attract like-minded individuals who respect and admire you for your honesty and dedication to doing what's right. People who live with integrity naturally attract respect, admiration, and loyalty from those around them. This results in stronger business relationships, lasting friendships, and a sense of fulfillment that money alone cannot provide. Ultimately, living with integrity builds a strong foundation for both personal and financial success. It allows you to build a reputation that aligns with your values, which attracts opportunities and relationships that support your growth. By consistently acting in alignment with your values, you cultivate trust, respect, and long-term success. The wealthiest people in the world understand this principle. They know that their reputation is one of their most valuable assets, and they protect it by living with authenticity and integrity. 10. The unstoppable mindset. To act as if you are already rich, you must first cultivate a mindset that is resilient to the inevitable ups and downs of life. Wealthy individuals understand that life is filled with challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. These individuals don't crumble under pressure or let adversity define their success. Instead, they embrace challenges with a mindset that believes nothing is impossible. This mentality allows them to push through difficult situations and remain focused on their long-term goals, no matter what obstacles they face. The key to wealth and success for these individuals lies in their ability to stay persistent and determined regardless of external circumstances. A fundamental characteristic of wealthy individuals is their relentless pursuit of their goals. They know that true success is not achieved overnight. It is the result of consistent effort, time, and a long-term commitment to their vision. Wealth, whether financial or personal, is the product of continuous effort, and those who act as if they are already rich embrace the idea that perseverance is more important than any momentary setback. They understand that success is rarely linear, and that the path to wealth is often full of twists, turns, and challenges. But what distinguishes those who succeed from those who don't is the ability to keep going when the going gets tough. This unstoppable mindset allows wealthy individuals to see every challenge as a stepping stone to greater success, rather than a roadblock. They believe that no obstacle is insurmountable and that every problem has a solution if you are willing to search for it, whether it's a business failure, a personal setback, or financial struggles. Those who adopt this mindset approach these situations as opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. They know that failure is not final, it is simply part of the process of success. Wealthy people understand that what matters is not how many times they fall, but how many times they get back up. This mindset of resilience and relentless determination is what separates the wealthy from those who struggle financially or emotionally. Wealthy people don't let temporary circumstances define their future. They are not overly influenced by short-term challenges or failures. Instead, they maintain a clear vision of their long-term goals, and their efforts are consistently aligned with that vision, no matter the difficulties they encounter. This ability to stay the course and continue working towards their dreams, even when the world seems to be against them, is a defining feature of successful individuals. In addition to resilience, those who act as if they are already rich have an unwavering belief in their ability to create wealth and success. This belief is the bedrock of the unstoppable mindset. Wealthy individuals are confident in their capacity to overcome challenges and create opportunities. They are not afraid to take risks or venture into unknown territory because they trust their skills, judgment, and ability to adapt to changing circumstances. This confidence in their own abilities empowers them to make bold decisions and take decisive actions, which often lead to breakthroughs and unexpected successes. Moreover, an unstoppable mindset involves a deep understanding that wealth, in all its forms, takes time to build. There are no shortcuts to lasting success. Those who act as if they are already rich know that true wealth is not a quick fix, but a gradual accumulation. Whether it's money, personal growth, or professional success, the journey is one of patience, persistence, and consistent effort. Wealthy individuals don't expect immediate rewards, and they are willing to put in the hard work required to achieve their goals. They embrace the long-term process, understanding that success often requires years of work and the willingness to stay committed even when progress seems slow or uncertain. This mindset of perseverance and patience also helps wealthy individuals manage stress and pressure. When you believe that you are capable of overcoming any challenge, the pressure to succeed becomes less overwhelming. Instead of feeling anxious or defeated by setbacks, those with an unstoppable mindset see challenges as opportunities to demonstrate their strength, creativity, and resourcefulness. This perspective shift helps them stay calm and focused. Even in the face of adversity, they recognize that challenges are not personal attacks or evidence of failure. They are simply a part of the process that leads to greater achievements. An unstoppable mindset also encourages adaptability and flexibility. Wealthy individuals know that the road to success is rarely straight, and they are willing to pivot and adjust their approach when necessary. Instead of becoming stuck or frustrated when things don't go as planned, they remain open to new ideas, strategies, and opportunities. They know that being flexible and willing to change course is an essential part of maintaining momentum and continuing to move forward toward their goals. Ultimately, an unstoppable mindset is about taking ownership of your future. It's about recognizing that no matter the circumstances, you have the power to shape your destiny. Wealthy individuals understand that their success is not determined by external factors like luck or the economy, but by their own mindset and actions. They take responsibility for their choices and are always looking for ways to improve themselves and their strategies. This sense of ownership and control over their lives fuels their drive to succeed and ensures that they never give up on their goals, no matter how challenging the journey may be. When you embody an unstoppable mindset, you attract wealth and success without having to chase them. Your belief in your own ability to achieve your goals and your determination to stay focused and committed act as a magnet for opportunities. Others are drawn to your confidence, your resilience, and your unwavering dedication, and this energy naturally leads to greater success in all areas of your life. You become a magnet for the wealth you desire, not only in material terms but also in personal growth, relationships, and overall fulfillment.